Okay, hi there everyone. We're ready to get started here. Welcome to today's University Business Web Seminar. It's great to have you all with us. My name is Kurt Isley Durley. I'm the Web Seminar Editor here at UB, and I'll be your moderator. The title of our event, as you see here, is Addressing Today's Campus Needs with Mobile Ordering, and is being brought to you through the generous support of our sponsor for today, Transact Campus. First off, before we get started, uh, as attendees are still coming in here, a bit of background about our topic for today. During these unprecedented times, many institutions are having to find unique ways to serve those who may need to remain on campus while adhering to social distancing requirements. Many campus dining venues are transforming into grab-and-go operations to facilitate the need to limit person-to-person interaction. Today we'll be learning from a panel of campus leaders about how they're using mobile ordering to serve students and faculty while maintaining social distancing during the COVID-19 pandemic. We're looking forward to an interesting presentation here and discussion plus live Q&A. So do stay tuned. We're going to get started in just a minute or two here. First though, just some quick housekeeping notes. First item, as it says here, for technical support, you can use the chat panel at the right side of your screen there. Just if you need tech support at any time, select the name of our event host and producer, Jason York. Let him know any problems that you're having. He'll be able to help you out there. Also, second item here, if you have any trouble with your computer audio, or if you prefer to listen privately, you may notice we'll post the phone number and access code in that chat window at the right there. If you need to get audio access over the phone at any time, you can do that. Also, as I said earlier, if you have a question for our panelists, feel free to fire away at any time as we're going here. Just enter it, type it in the Q&A panel in the bottom right-hand corner there. Just make sure it's set to all panelists, the default option there. And we'll get to the questions at the end. So once again, if you have a question at any time, just type it in that Q&A, bottom right-hand corner, and we'll get to those questions during the Q&A at the end. Also, speaking of questions, we're often asked about accessing the presentation at a later time, the content, either the recording or the slides. And yes, the last item, as you see here on the slide, everyone who registered or attended here today will receive a follow-up communication with links to where you can find the archive recording as well as a PDF of the slides. So if you need to go back over it, or if you want to share with anyone on your team at your institution, you'll be able to do that later on, so don't worry about that. Okay, so with that, on to our program and our panelists here. We have a great panel we're very fortunate to have with us. Tess Martinez is System Administrator at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. We're also joined by Nirmal Paliaguru. He is Director of the Access Card Office and Property Management at Santa Clara University. Jennifer Payotti is Marketing Director for Auxiliary Services at Xavier University. And we're also joined by John Diaz. He's Vice President of Retail Solutions Product Management there at Transact Campus. John is going to start us off and kind of lead our discussion here. So at this point, I'll turn it over to him. John, and to all of our panelists, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to our webinar.
Thank you, Kurt. I appreciate it. Thanks for the introduction. And as you said, thanks to our panelists for joining us today. And I really want to thank our audience and the folks who are attending this webinar today for joining us as well. I know it's a crazy time out there. We're all dealing with some pretty drastic changes in terms of our normal day-to-day lives, in terms of not just work, but our personal lives as well. And we know it's a big ask for folks to take an hour out of their day to join us for things like this. So again, we appreciate that, and thank you very much for joining. So what I do is I want to do a little bit of introduction here. We'll have each of the panelists do a little more of an introduction of themselves and then their campuses, and then we'll walk through a short agenda that we've got here for our topics today. So Kurt already discussed the overview of the program. So Again, I think when we originally set this up, our thoughts were we were just going to do a nice presentation on how mobile ordering has been deployed on campuses, and then all of a sudden COVID-19 came along, and the use of this product and then these technologies on our campuses have changed quite a bit. And again, we look forward to hearing what our panelists have to tell us in terms of how they've leveraged technology, including mobile ordering, on their campuses to help address the needs of the things that are going on there. So real quickly, just a little bit of an introduction here on each person on the list. So Jennifer, you want to do a quick introduction of yourself, please?
Sure. Thanks for having me, everyone. My name's Jennifer Piotti. I am the Marketing Director for Auxiliary Services at Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've been at the university in a couple different fashions since 2011. Took over for the Marketing Director of Auxiliary Services in 2016. Other than that, love Cincinnati. It's a beautiful 76-degree day out here.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. That's great. All right, Nirmal.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I'm Nirmal Pallegru from Santa Clara University. I manage the CARD program at campus, been with the university since the late 90s, 95. Just going through the process of adjusting to a unique situation many of us have never experienced. So interesting challenges and interesting opportunities.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nirmal.
Hi.
And hopefully we can. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I was actually a student at UNC Charlotte, but I've been working on campus here since 2016 in various positions. I actually just started this job with business services 3 weeks ago, so just in time for coronavirus to really kick off. So it's been fun trying to figure things out on the fly.
That's perfect. Well, thanks, Tess, and congratulations, and continued good luck in a new role. Hopefully, things will not be quite like this, in a little while from now. So, all right. Well, again, thanks to all our panelists there, and for joining us today. So, quick agenda. Just we'll try to do a little bit of an introduction, a little bit more in terms of the different campuses and how they're using some mobile ordering technology. Talk a little bit about how they've been impacted and how they've had to adjust with the COVID-19 crisis coming down the pike. How mobile ordering has played a part in that, and potentially other campus technology that they've used to help to address the needs of the folks that are still on campus or as students are transitioning off campus. What some of their plans are for moving forward, and how could this technology assist them when we all hopefully open the doors back up in the fall for the return of students and for the fall term. And then we'll have a little Q&A at the end of the session as well. So going into the campus background a little bit, I think we'll start off with Nirmal in terms of just tell us a bit about Santa Clara itself and maybe what you've done so far with mobile ordering technology.
Yeah, Santa Clara has been with Transact since '95, and we started mobile pretty much early adopters in 2012. But as we keep moving along, we have kind of expanded our mobile technology, not only from a mobile perspective, even leveraging out the other portfolios within QuadPoint with the QuadPay and PiSell and iValidate. So we try to leverage this thing out as much as we can to promote the students and the services. This has been a very good experience for us.
Great. What kind of operations do you use it primarily in dining, or do you use it in other areas on campus? Where do you use the technology?
From a mobile perspective, we use for dining pretty much, and for events on campus for residence halls. When students want to promote events, with limited seating, we try to promote it that way, but mostly it's for dining venues.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Nirmal. All right, Jennifer.
Yeah, so we are Xavier University out of Cincinnati, Ohio. We are the 6th oldest Catholic and the 4th oldest Jesuit university in the United States. We're a smaller school. We have approximate undergraduate enrollment about 4,500. Our graduate enrollment's about 2,200 as a liberal arts institution. We have been a Transact customer for quite some time. Really kicked off in the last few years. Last couple of years with going to QuadPoint our point of sale system, and then mobile ordering. And this year, we're also looking into the e-accounts iValidate. We have that just opened up as well.
All right, great. And I think in your case, you've used mobile ordering in quite a few different areas on campus as well. So besides dining, so what kind of things have you done with it?
Yeah, so when I actually looked at mobile ordering, my first thought was not dining. We use it for our all-inclusive textbook access program. We used it last year for a pilot as a check-in process. This year, we're going to be utilizing it more of a distribution style, which definitely helps with the aspects of COVID-19 and the social distancing for what we potentially see as it not going away in the fall. So we have to keep that on our agenda. As well, we use it for fundraising opportunities, and then we are going to be utilizing it in some different things for the summer and the fall as well.
Great, great. That's wonderful. Thank you very much. All right, and Tess.
So let's see, get some stats on UNCC on the screen right there. So we're a larger school. We're the third largest in the UNC system. And we've been using Transact products for as long as I've been working on in the office. But mobile ordering, we're fairly new to. We just started setting our first units up last summer. So this has been a really exciting process. I think we came online pretty quickly though. We flew through getting all of our retail restaurants into the mobile ordering app. Is that it?
Great. No, thank you. Yeah, you definitely, UNC Charlotte definitely has locations. There's 20 plus locations by last count I saw, and definitely one of the heaviest users of the program. So we appreciate your support and things you've done to help get that deployed. All right, so jumping on to kind of today's situation. So we want to talk a little bit about how your campus has been impacted, and this will play into how you've been able to use mobile ordering and potentially other technologies to address your campus needs today. Obviously, there's lots of press out there, lots of things in the news that we wish we weren't having to talk about today. But whether it's on-campus responses or it's just the general public, just some headlines that came across the wire, in terms of UNC Charlotte. I think everybody thought they were coming back from spring break and having to close those operations. And Tess will talk a little bit more about what they've had to do there. And Santa Clara and Xavier, both the campus websites are dominated by information about COVID-19 and the campus response and how that's impacted, the finishing the spring term, whether, what happens to meal plans, what happens to residence hall fees and those kind of things. And so lots and lots of different things going on with this right now. So I'm going to hand it back to the panelists here, and we'll walk through each one of these again and talk a little bit about, what some of the impact has been on campus. So Nirmal.
So Santa Clara, we moved to a kiosk-based focused dining services operations about 2 years ago, and have been very successful. But given the situation that happened early March, we had to change our plans. As you see the images post March 9th, we had an employee stand there and the students would order the food through the kiosk, and we had to make sure everybody uses sanitizer after each transaction and they get the receipt and they walk out. One of the things we did was we blocked off all seating on campus since we were one of the first areas to be shelter-in-place orders that came through the county. Effective March 12th, we secured no seating was available. Students had to wait. It was almost like a drive-up or a pickup option from the students for the various dining venues. So that's how we had to adapt so quickly, given the COVID-19 situation.
All right, thank you, Nirmal. Yeah, definitely a big impact where you had to switch a bit from how you were doing things before with that. And I like the visuals you sent here with the hand sanitizer. That pretty much tells the story of I think what everybody's dealing with today. So thank you. All right, Jennifer, tell us a little bit about the impact at Xavier.
Yeah, I mean, it's created an unbroken circle of change for us. We were actually on spring break when this really came to fruition. We started with saying that we were going to do the first half until Easter in a remote learning capacity, based on then Governor DeWine and his recommendation for all universities to go to remote learning for the remainder of the semester. Our president, Father Graham, he followed suit, and therefore we had, within probably 2 weeks, we had everyone coming back from spring break, moving out of their residence halls and on-campus apartments and moving home. We are now completely shut down, except for approximately 40 or so students who are in an emergency situation. And we do have dining available on campus. We're actually doing everything out of our residence hall, our resident dining facility, because it's a one-way in, a one-way out. We are working on crediting and proration right now for meal plans and housing. So it has really impacted our campus quite extensively. We are now completely remote learning, and 99% are remote working until mid-May. And we are just made the call for all summer classes will also be remote as well.
Yeah, definitely huge impact there, and something I know that is going to hit campuses hard in terms, especially the information on the right side there. Nobody ever thought about having to give back, housing and meal plan dollars in such a massive amount for the spring semester. So I know that's going to be a challenge for a lot of clients to help recover and make up from that. So definitely lots of impact there. So thank you. Okay, Tess, and let me see your slide.
So UNC Charlotte, we came back from spring break. All the students returned for classes because it was right when the news started breaking about how bad this could be. And so students went to 1 week of classes, and then it just took off. Our classes closed, and then that same week, by Friday, all students had to be out of their dorms. And then the very next Monday, we locked all buildings down. So now everything is key card access. All retail dining is shut down, and only one dining hall remains open because we have about 250 to 300 students that remain on campus that just couldn't get home. So our one dining hall is open, and then we have a convenience store in the same building that we put on mobile ordering. It wasn't there before, so we were able to quickly repurpose a sandwich shop that we'd set up on mobile and turn it into like just a essential items store where students could get medicine or toilet paper, hand sanitizer, and microwave meals for their rooms. And we actually, this news just broke last week, we actually have to invite students from 6 dorms back to the school to move all of their belongings out because we're turning 6 of our buildings into a hospital. So that's where UNCC is now.
Wow, that's definitely a change for sure. Yeah,
big change.
Big change there. Right. Thank you, and we'll circle back in a moment just with some more details on that program that you put together. So thank you. Okay, so as we talked about our agenda, we'll talk about now how mobile ordering specifically has played a part in your campus response, and talk about what it does today and in terms of where you might see it going. Maybe when the students return in the fall, or even if you're going to open back up over the summer, how that might play a part as well. So what we've heard from a number of our clients and why mobile ordering is working well for them as part of this response to COVID-19 is that it helps them meet a lot of the requirements that they're being required, whether it was originally a campus ruling or it was a county mandate, or now it's a state mandate or practically a national event now. One of the big things it does is it does help facilitate social distancing. Obviously, we're seeing that not just in campus operations, but we're seeing that in the real world. So with all the curbside pickup and delivery and mobile ordering that we're seeing in the general sector for restaurants to help them try to stay in business and help them try to facilitate that supply chain. We're seeing that everywhere. And the good thing is for clients that have already had this deployed on their campuses, they're finding that it was, I won't say it was easy, but it gave them the ability to pivot relatively quickly and move to be able to accommodate that and help keep their students and campus constituents healthy and safe during this pandemic. Some of the other things you can do, obviously, and the technologies that can be used just for more than just food, and you'll hear that from the panelists. You've heard a little bit already. But the big thing there is to be able to think more broadly about that. Obviously, we think about mobile ordering with food, but and again, as you see in the public sector, you see with grocery delivery and other types of goods and services that are available as well. So lots of things to kind of think a little bit further beyond food, which has in college space has been a lot of times the primary focus in a lot of campuses. Marketing communications, we'll talk a little about that, just the ability to stay in touch with your students and quickly let them know, hey, we're making this kind of change to either our dining operations or our C-store or other operations on campuses, gives them ability to have push notifications and communications there to allow them to communicate with folks and help them stay informed on campus, because obviously this has been a very fluid and very dynamic event. Things change day to day, if not hourly or minute by minute, but that ability to communicate and stay in touch quickly and provide the information that's needed has been a big important factor that clients have told us about the solution. The ability to deploy this remotely too has been a big deal for our clients. We've actually had some clients that didn't already have this deployed, and they said in our response, we need to get mobile ordering going up very quickly, and obviously you can't come to our campus. So it was one of those things where this technology lends itself to being able to deploy it in a remote fashion where you don't have to physically send technical staff on campus to do deployments, and so that can be helpful. So if anybody does not have that out there and thinks they are going to need this for summer or back to school, definitely think about how you could potentially do this as a no-touch type deployment almost. And then the last thing clients have told us that they liked about mobile ordering technology is that it gave them the ability to manage the solution, manage the menus, manage the items, manage the ability to turn a location on, turn it off, spin something up, or adapt it to a different purpose than it may have been originally. Tess alluded to that a moment ago of how they've shifted one operation to become using this technology where it previously did not, or use it in a different fashion. So again, the ability to adapt to the different types of operations quickly and be able to let the clients manage that on their own has been a big important thing for that as well. So we'll go through each of the panelists again and talk a little bit about some of the specifics of how they're using this technology and how it's helping them out on their campus. So Nirmal.
And John, one of the quick things we had to adapt was as part of managing properties, when incoming faculty come in, they get to choose some housing options. And given the COVID situation, this was not an option to come to campus. So everything had to move to an online platform. So while creating this, we had to create housing options for these incoming faculty so they can choose as to what their fall housing assignments would be, housing choices would be. So that was a quick pivot as well for us to go from a physical visual perspective to an online version. So QuadPay really helped us out on that. And then we continue to use mobile in a more traditional way, and I think we'll see it expand as the students come back for the fall. Right now, our spring quarters, everything is online, so we don't have students. We had 3,200 students on campus. We have about 300 currently on campus due to various reasons. So I think once we start moving into the fall, this would be a bigger impact on our operations.
Great, that's neat information too, and the interesting how you've chosen to use the technology for housing type and property management. That's interesting. So when payments on these, how do you handle the payments on the housing portion of this?
So what we have done is we create an item, pretty much goes to a shopping cart, and then we have tied it to a credit card process. And then we do JV entries to match to the general ledger. So it's become a very seamless process. We have images, descriptions, and flow plans as part of the details on the link as well. So you really get an idea of what it would look like prior to making your choices.
Great. Yeah, it's a very unique use of that technology. So thank you for telling us about that. Thank you. All right, Jennifer, how has this and potentially other technology played a part on your campus?
Yeah, I mean, we have really worked a lot on the communication side, and it was at some point a minute by minute changing just based on what was going on in the world. We've utilized it in terms of targeted emails, push notifications. We've been able to inbox message our students in terms for their digital textbooks. Many of these students, when they were gone, they were at home because it was spring break. Through our other partners that we've utilized with Transact and Follett, we've been able to then send targeted messaging to these students on how they can go and download these digital books so they can use them for their classes. Something that we're getting ready to deploy in the next week or so is through one of our health partners, TriHealth. They actually have a kind of on-campus wellness center, and we are going to be using mobile ordering for outside of campus community to where they can mobile order box lunches, and we'll be delivering that up to their offices. So that's another use of what we're going to be using it for. And then in the fall, again, a distribution center for our textbook program for the 3,800 students that'll be a part of it come this fall.
That's great. Definitely some more unique uses there of the technology. So it's very, very interesting there too. So thanks, Jennifer.
Yep.
All right, and Tess, here. Tell us a bit about your program.
So I kind of jumped the gun on this one a little bit.
That's fine.
We set up a Market on Craver Essentials program. It had previously been a sandwich shop, so we just repurposed all of the tablet, the printers, everything, and threw together things that students might need because we do have about 300 left on campus. We're also, so we had our marketing people put it on the website. We put up like on our screens all over the student union so students know to go there and like they can order stuff. We've also been telling students off campus because while the school is doing refunds for like their meal plans or their declining balance, some students want to spend the money. So we offer curbside pickup, which is new. So they can actually spend their meal plans if they wanted to and get stuff for their house. And all they have to do is just drive on to a little loading dock and we hand the stuff to them and off they go. It's also because we're such a big school and we had so many retail locations, that's a lot of food that's going to expire. So we've been using this mobile ordering market to sell off bundles of like, we have a Starbucks on campus and their coffee beans expire in June. So we're selling big bundles of like pounds of coffee beans at cost so that campus doesn't have to eat all of that and students get things at a good price.
Wow, I wish I lived in Charlotte right now and could take advantage of that service. That sounds really good. And definitely love your marketing here with the 49er and everything. That's neat. So I noticed that was out there also on I believe your Facebook page or the university's Facebook page for dining, and it looked like that program was getting some good comments and good feedback on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good. Okay. Well, thank you. All right, so we'll transition now into a little bit of what folks' plans are for the future. So again, we'll just kind of go around the horn here and talk a little bit about what Santa Clara, Xavier, and UNC Charlotte are thinking about in terms of how how we're going to turn around from this in hopefully a short period and get back to regular business and how things may change a little bit once we start back up and how different technologies, including mobile learning, may play a part of that. So, Nirmal, I'll hand it off to you to give us a little bit of insight into that.
I think for us, we'll continue to expand the offerings than we currently do on our mobile. Right now, we have our cafes in the primary buildings, But I think as we keep getting ready for fall, I think we'll bring in more venues. Students can order it ahead of time. The current conversation is we have schedules on our kiosks and POS devices. We might kind of delay mobile by 15 minutes and terminate it early by 15 minutes so we don't have a rush at the last minute. But we will continue to expand the offerings for students for all kinds of food venues across campus, as well as listening to what UNC Charlotte has done and what Xavier has done, incorporate some of those features if possible to make sure we keep the new normal, whatever that means, moving forward.
All right, great. Thank you, Nirmal. All right, Jennifer.
Yeah, so we are going to be expanding our options in terms of mobile ordering. Again, I look at things from also a non-dining perspective. So maybe that is more where we're working with our rec center and scheduling classes for our Health United building, or another one that we're looking at is for our Student Emergency Fund. We're actually coming up with a cookbook based on just the overwhelming response of our students wanting to have a piece of their CAF with them at home. We'll be able to utilize it for, again, that fundraising opportunity. As we expand the mobile, we're also going to be expanding to kiosk ordering for our venues in our student center. So that way we're looking at that kind of, again, that social distancing piece, as well as having the opportunity to be able to offer different suggested items and everything that we can that the students have been asking for, but in a way that it also helps promote that, that check average and that top line sales that's going to be absolutely crucial because of the refunds and things of this nature this year.
Great, definitely some unique uses there. That's excellent. Thank you. All right, and Tess.
So we mostly do food, but we actually have plans to put our ID card office on mobile so students can order replacements, submit photos, the whole 9 yards. So over the summer, though, because all of our classes are remaining online through to the fall, so we're going to take this time to really scrub our mobile units, get everything perfect. We're talking about putting our concessions on for football games so people can order in their seats. So we're just gonna we're gonna put every food thing we can on mobile and hopefully the ID card office. And hopefully this will all be back to normal by August.
Yes, hopefully it will be, but it sounds like you've got some great plans there for ways to use technology in areas that, COVID or not, should be well received, and I think your students and the rest of the campus folks will enjoy it. So that's great. Okay, so I think that's the core of what we wanted to talk through in terms of the topics for today. So I think we'll open the floor now for some Q&A, and I don't know if Kurt, if you want to lead that.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, John, and to our panelists here, Nirmal, Jennifer, and Tess. Really appreciate you guys sharing your time, especially given the circumstances. Tell us about what you're doing. We're going to get to your questions from the audience. First, I just wanted to draw attention. Our panelists here have been so kind as to provide their email addresses here. If you have further questions for them afterwards, anything stuck out to you that you'd be interested in pursuing, maybe at your institution, they've made their email addresses here available. And again, we'll make these slides available if you want to get those later on. And another quick reminder, if you do have a question here, just enter in the Q&A, bottom right-hand corner there. Not the chat window, but the bottom right-hand corner. We'll get to as many as we can. Let's see, we might start off with this one to you, John. Obviously, we looked at a variety of uses for the mobile ordering platform, and someone asked earlier on, is this customizable for the end user? How does that work? Can you talk about how you customize a system like this for different uses?
Sure, that's a great question. So, yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned a moment ago, obviously you've heard a lot of the different panelists here have used it in different ways. The main thing here is that with Transact's mobile ordering solution, we've tried to make this as much the university solution. Transact's really behind the scenes as really the technology provider, but the application itself is yours. So the branding, the icon that ends up on an iPhone, the coloring of the scheme that's in the items, and all the item information, nutritional information, different types of branding and things like that that go along with it are all defined by the campus. And that was something we really heard from our clients, was they really wanted this to be their own solution. There are other products out there in the marketplace that do the job, but they really want to make this their own. And again, during this special time, it was really important to put the controls for this into our clients' hands so that they could tailor it for their specific needs, and again, react very quickly to adapt to the changes that were coming along with this current crisis.
All right. Sure, interesting. Obviously, just going by our panelists, there's a variety of ways to use the platform. Great. Let's see. Additional question. Someone asked, just for the group, could you expand on how you envision card ordering and photo submission working together? What will that process look like? I think one of you mentioned that towards the end there. Or if John, if you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think Tess was the one that brought that up with using it in the card office. So maybe Tess, you can expand upon that a little bit more.
So this is still kind of like a brainchild. I was told that they want card ordering to go on mobile, but we haven't started working the kinks out on how we'll do that. Right now we have like an online photo submission where you submit a picture through like a web form, and then somebody has to approve it, and then somebody else has to put it on an ID card, and then they print it. So we're hoping to streamline that and make it easier for the students, so they have their mobile order app. They can go on, they say, I need a replacement ID, or I need I need an ID, or my status changed, I need a status change ID, and they can just order it from their phone. But that's about as far as we've gotten on that process.
Okay. Sure. Thank you. Let's see, more questions coming in here. Thanks to our audience for your submissions here. Let's see, John, I might go to you on this one. Someone just concerned about, so if you have mobile ordering platform, they have one right now, and they get 300 mobile orders per day at one location, in addition to students queuing in line. Does Transact do anything for throttling orders so they can manage that, or how do you approach that, John, if you get a huge influx of mobile orders? Is there a way to approach that?
Sure, another good question. So there's different ways the systems can be set up. You can do things by, we have an algorithm that basically does estimated prep time for creating items, for creating orders and processing them. So the system learns over time what those look like. You can also put in some base times to say how much time it should take to prepare a certain order. And so by having that capability there, that allows you to do some automatic and dynamic throttling through that mechanism. We can also do some things where you can do orders based on certain time periods, and let the clients choose when they want to pick up those orders and do those kind of things. You can also just alert folks when their orders are actually ready, and that'll be either a text message or a push message that will let them know that their order is ready to be picked up. So there's a number of different ways that can be handled.
Okay, sure. Let's see, another question asked for the panel here. What were 2 or 3 of the stumbling blocks that you ran into going live with mobile ordering? Of course, this may have been prior to the current situation, but if someone's, this is kind of a common question we get, if someone's looking to do what you all did, implement something like this, Are there lessons learned that come to mind for any of you? Things that you had to adjust, stumbling blocks, as the person puts it? Any of our panelists, anything that comes to mind with going to mobile ordering? Some advice you might offer.
For us at Santa Clara was convincing dining services this will be an enhancement rather than a burden. I think from that perspective, they're operationally more traditional-based workflows, so adding mobile was a huge transition for them, but we started with baby steps with kind of reducing the orders, starting at a smaller venue, make them comfortable with the process, and then gradually expanded our solution across the platform.
I would agree with that. I think one of the biggest was moving from that traditional sense in terms of dining into this now virtual restaurant. The other thing I will say is that from a mobile perspective, it definitely is a marketing tool, and to have a marketing operations plan built into it, that 80-20 in terms of the back end to the front end workload is pretty critical when it comes to mobile ordering and being able to utilize all the potential that the Transact mobile ordering app has.
I'll add that, one of our biggest stumbling blocks had to do with all technology. So we also use QuadPoint and we have Transact mobile ordering, which speak to each other well. It all came into routing because we use kitchen printers, we use KDSs, and we have to send different items to different screens, and trying to figure out how combo groups work on mobile. It was a pretty steep learning curve, but we figured it out. And if you want like more information, feel free to email me because it took like a few weeks to kind of trial and error our way into something that worked. Specifically for Chick-fil-A has some really strict standards that you have to follow for displaying items and preparing items and bringing in items. So it was tough but not impossible.
Okay, sure. A couple use cases, I guess hypothetical use cases, maybe, John. I could ask you here. Some people are asking, have any universities used mobile ordering like this or for their mail rooms? You seen that kind of application, John?
I don't know that I've seen it for that particular use yet at this point. Again, we've seen some pretty unique uses. I think Jennifer definitely at Xavier has pushed the envelope with that, with their course material pickups and different things they do in terms of donations and things like that. I think the sky's the limit with this technology. You know, we're continually enhancing it and adding new capabilities to it to make it adapt for different uses across the campus. Again, our key here was to make sure it was not just a food-only type application. So yes, we're definitely open to looking at different uses, and if there's something there that's not not working the way you need it to, or you need different fields or prompts or different types of information, let's have a conversation and see what we can do to help meet the needs of different operations across the entire campus.
Sure. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of ways to use it. You can kind of make it the institution's own. And another similar question, your answer might be similar, John, but someone says they're a parking and fleet manager at a university. Do you think you could use technology like this for these areas? I don't know if that's reserving a car or parking or any of the above. Same question, John. Anybody using it for that?
I'm not aware of any at this point. I know we've had folks, sell parking permits and other things through some of our other technology that might be more web focused. I know Nirmal mentioned also some of the things he'd done with our QuadPay product that allows you to do all sorts of different types of ways of processing orders. So yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways. Different technology, may fit different places and work better in different ways. So it depends really whether you need a mobile app on a phone or you need a web page or a mobile web browser. I think there's a number of different technologies there that could potentially fit that need, and we'd love to have a conversation with you about that.
Okay, sure. Let's see, another question for the panel, just simply asking how are students perceiving mobile ordering on your campuses? Any of you get a sense of, I know you talked about some challenges there with some of your internal departments. What about the student side? Do you get a sense of the feedback there, or how it's serving them?
Sure, I can talk to that one. From our perspective, just based on the trend of where we're at with Gen Z and then moving into the next 5 years of Gen Alpha, they know how to use mobile ordering. In higher education, we're actually kind of been behind the curve until this point. Now we're catching up and we're starting to surpass their needs and look at their future needs. So students, when you think about it, they automatically know how to use mobile ordering from a public sector, whether it's through dining or purchasing something through their Prime, and then it's shipped in a couple of days. So this Transact has been able to kind of tie a thread through all of our auxiliary services, and really brought value to not only the services that we have on campus, but it's also brought value to our departments and what they can do in terms of revenue generation for our universities. And the students that I speak with, we have over 2,400 currently as users. Most of them are reordering over and over again.
Great, thanks. Nirmal or Tess, you get a sense of the student experience?
Yeah, our students enjoy it. So we have most of our units on mobile, but they really seem to like the big names like Chick-fil-A or Bojangles, which is great because we usually have lines out the door for those units, so now they're able to place their order before they even arrive, and it's cut our lines down so everyone gets faster service. So they seem to be appreciating it.
I think for Santa Clara, to validate Jennifer's point, I think when we went for kiosks, they had the same concern. The students will not be able to understand how to place orders and go through the steps of ordering through a kiosk. And just like ducks taking to water, it was very easy for them to do it. Mobile has been a lot easier than having folks to go through a kiosk, but I think mobile is very easily adaptable for this generation.
Sure. That makes total sense with what we know about today's students. Let's see, a related question, just asking about the setup. So is the mobile ordering itself a separate app, or is it integrated within the university's app?
Yeah, it's a good question. So our app is a separate app, and a lot of it's just because of some of the technology that's built into that itself. What we have done with other schools are to create what are called deep links, which is where the campus app can actually call out to the mobile ordering app. So you'd still have to install the separate app on the phone. It could be an icon or a link within the university app, so they could get there from that destination, kind of like you would do with Facebook, calling out to Facebook Messenger, and it would allow you to pass that on and pop that up in the other app. So not a single app today in terms of embedding it in the campus app, but you that look a little more seamless with those deep links.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Well, it looks like I believe we've hit all of our questions here. Again, thank you so much to our audience members for submitting your questions, being part of our conversation here. We really appreciate it. And I'll wrap things up here on behalf of University Business. I'd like to thank our panelists once again. Tess, Nirmal, Jennifer, and John, thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise with us, telling us more about what you're doing there at your institutions. Thanks again to our sponsor, Transact Campus, for their generous support of our webinar here. And again, to everyone in our audience, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found our webinar informative and useful to you. Producing events like this one is just part of our mission here at UB to inform college and university leaders like you about the latest news and trends in higher ed management. You'll find more coverage about issues such as the ones we discussed here in the pages of our print magazine, as well as our digital edition and website, through additional web seminars like this one, and through our various e-newsletters, which you can sign up for on our website. And as I mentioned before, for any of you who would like to share the content of this presentation with your colleagues, or if you want to go back over it at your own pace, you can access the archive recording. It'll be at the URL on your screen here. And if you'd like to go through the slides, again, everyone will receive a follow-up email with links to the slides and a link to this archive webinar page on the UB site. So you'll be able to go back over it. So keep an eye out for that later on. So that is it for today's event. Thank you to everyone once again for joining us, and please be safe, take care of yourselves and each other. On behalf of everyone here at UB, thanks so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye, everyone.